But I do want to go ahead and tell everybody about how Dreamhack went, because, well, y'all did fund Dreamhack, so it's probably important to go ahead and talk about that. Also, Ikri the Space Kobold and Ultra Fine Point, thank you both for resubscribing and getting us to Hype Train Level 2. So, I do want to go ahead and preface this with, this is not going to be a haha, everything was amazing video. Actually, we didn't even make it to all 3 days of Dreamhack, and we ended up having to engage in a dumb amount of retail therapy on both day 1 and day 2 because of how much went wrong, basically. And this isn't to disparage the Dreamhack staff, and this isn't to disparage the Magic judges that were involved in this. This is just the events as they happened, in the order that I can remember them happening. So let's go ahead and start with day 1 of Dreamhack. The Dreamhack convention was a big gaming convention that had all kinds of notable people, including Magic the Gathering artists, League of Legends players like Tyler 1. There's even a StarCraft championship that was happening there. Like, there all kinds of stuff, and tons of advertisers were there. It was a big thing. My want for going was a combination of being able to network with some other Magic content creators, and also to have a chance to kind of de-stress a little bit with the convention, because I typically enjoy conventions. I've not really had a convention that I haven't enjoyed until now, I guess. And again, this isn't to disparage anybody who was working at Dreamhack. This was a combination of multiple factors during the entire time. So let's go ahead and go over day 1 of Dreamhack. So Saki and I get to Atlanta and realize that we are parked very far away from the convention. Turns out the Georgia Congress Center has a bunch of different entrances, and not all of them are in the same areas that we parked. I guess that's on me for not knowing the city near me as well as I should. But we get to Atlanta, we park, and we go ahead and get our decks and everything ready to go, and we make our way into what would be the convention hall, except we make it to the front of the Georgia Congress Center, and it was not actually the entrance to the convention. So MomoCon was held in the Georgia Congress Center as well, and the area that MomoCon was held into, me, Saki, and a few other people went down to, expecting the convention to be there. But no, it was actually held in a completely different building, Building B of the Georgia Congress Center. So the area that a lot of people apparently thought it was going to be held at, it just wasn't. That's not, again, that's not on the staff. That's just our first moments there. But we finally get to the right area of the Dreamhack Center, or we finally get to the right area of the Congress Center. And then some of the staff prevent us from going downstairs to get to the to get inside the actual convention. And the reason is, apparently, the escalator that we wanted to use was cut off to everybody except VIPs and people who were doing gaming tournaments and had, like, press badges and stuff. Now, I don't know if you know this about the Georgia Congress Center, but the thing's pretty large. You can kind of get anywhere from anywhere. It was just really, really frustrating to be like, oh, I'd love to go down this escalator and just go right to the convention, but I guess not. So, me, Saki, and the group of people that we are walking with at the time, which is just a handful of people, we start traveling further down on the second floor of the Congress Center, and then get down to the actual entrance to the Dreamhack convention. All in all, nothing terrible has happened. It's just the usual. If you're in an area that you feel like you're used to, and suddenly the routes you're allowed to go to are all cut off for you, you suddenly don't feel as comfortable in the area anymore. So we get into Dreamhack, and it is loud, which is good. It's big, boisterous. We see that there's Call of Duty laser tag, which we end up doing on day 2. We found that they had one area for all the food vendors, and the food was notably shit. It was all bad. But there were just a lot of really cool things there. There were a ton of indie games that were wanting to go ahead and show their stuff. We got some... I don't want to name all of them because I can't remember the names of all of them, but there was one that was a tower defense game where you're actually controlling a spaceship and you're aiming the spaceship in the different areas that you need to aim at to hit things, as opposed to just standing still and letting the tower defense thing happen automatically. I actually got to play that both on a regular PC and on Stream Deck, and like I said, there were tons of stages and everything for running different events. A StarCraft event, a League of Legends event, there was a big interview panel section there as well, and I'm not gonna lie, the area was really well air-conditioned. For the amount of people that they stuffed in this area, you wouldn't be able to tell. It was not stuffy at all in terms of the feeling of being pressed between thousands of other bodies. But Red Joker says restricting an escalator may go against some... Red Joker, what you don't seem to understand about the Georgia Congress Center is there are hundreds of escalators. This was just stopping us from going down one and making us walk further around the building to get to another one. That has nothing to do... Like, that has zero to do with ADA compliance or anything. Anyways, that's just an aside, so that nobody gets the idea that they were they were doing any ADA bad stuff at DreamHack. So we get into the actual convention hall. We see all kinds of stuff there. Apparently, I get a notification on WhatsApp that wasn't muted, I guess. Mute notifications. I'm sorry, Vice Rhino. I am muting your notifications for 8 hours. So while we're there, we basically beeline our way to the Magic the Gathering area. And the reason that we do that, is because Saki and I are both prepared for the Pioneer Last Chance qualifiers before day one of the massive championship that was going to be held at DreamHack. We're prepared for this. We've been doing tournaments. We have our decks fully stacked out. I even went ahead and did a last-minute upgrade. I got a Virtue of Persistence for my Golgari mid-range deck because I really wanted to make sure that I was prepped and ready for this. And it felt like a good card to add, even though it was not one I've practiced with. The practice games I did with it basically proved how good that card can be in a mid-range deck. But that's besides the point. So we go to the tournament organizers. And when we get to the tournament organizers, we say, hey, we would like to participate in the Last Chance qualifier. They go, okay. We've got a few more of those running. Note, a few more of them running. That will be important. We say they've got a few more of those running. They can get us in Last Chance qualifier number 29. They went up to number 31 by the end of the night. And they say, Last Chance qualifier number 29 will be starting at 6 o'clock p.m. We go, okay, that's fine. We can do that. And then they show that you don't use the companion app to get into this. You use what's called Melee.gg, which I had not used before, but it was fine. And on Melee.gg, they have an area where you can go and see your tournaments. Now, I actually have that pulled up right here. Number 29, the Last Chance qualifier for Pioneer. And as you can see, it began on Friday at 6:30 p.m. That's also important. Or 6 o'clock p.m., not 6:30. I read the 10:30 and the 6 o'clock and smacked them together. So this fun thing happens, where as we get to 6 o'clock, I did check WhatsApp, Rhino. Apologies. I can run for late. If you need to run late today, I can run late. I have eaten a fresh thing of curry, and I've got a big thing of soda. I'm good for whatever. So, we're ready to do the LCQ, and at 6:30 p.m., they announce a Pioneer tournament is starting. They tell us exactly where we need to go, so we rush to the area for the Pioneer tournament. And we see that on the piece of paper, they have Last Chance Qualifier 29, 30, and 31. All listed. But notice something. They said a Pioneer tournament. not a Pioneer qualifier tournament. And that raised a bit of a red flag for me when we looked at the list and didn't see our names in the Pioneer tournament brackets. And then I realized, oh no, we must have made a mistake. Maybe we thought the Pioneer tournament was starting at 6, but it was actually starting at a different time. So I checked my app, and sure enough, on both Saki's app and my app, it says 6 o'clock Eastern for the last chance to qualify for a massive Pioneer tournament that we both had been prepping for months. Yeah, you know what? It says 6 o'clock on there. It's 6 o'clock now, so we talked to the tournament staff, and they were like, we're not running that tournament right now. What are you talking about? Now, that's a problem. So then we run to the Melee.gg registration area and ask, hey, we were supposed to be in a tournament starting 5 minutes ago, and apparently no such tournament exists that is starting 5 minutes ago. So, what the fuck? What's going on? Well, it turns out the reason this was happening. The Pioneer tournament started at 5 p.m. Not 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Now, I don't know how the hell we were supposed to know that. I don't know how in the world we were supposed to figure that out when the app told us 6 o'clock, the guy at registration told us 6 o'clock, and we got there at 6 o'clock. I have no idea how we were supposed to understand that by 6 o'clock, they meant 5 o'clock. And now, the first bit of confusion was here. One of the organizers said, hey, maybe what happened is they said maybe your thing says 6 o'clock, but maybe you're from out of town and you got a different time zone on your phone, and maybe that's where the mess up is. It's an hour difference. Maybe that's why. And I'm like, nope, I live here. I live here. That there is no problem there. And then Saki and I both pulled out our phones, grabbed the Melee.gg app, showed it to him, and then he got really quiet. And then he goes over to one of his assistants. I'm assuming the woman who was running the event. She seemed to have seniority, and started whispering to her. And then she gave him a look. You know the look? You know the one where you're like, you're watching an event happen from afar and you realize that a mistake has been made somewhere, and somebody makes the look on their face that says that someone somewhere has made a mistake. So I see that, and I look at Saki and go, oh no, I think I know what's happened. So, according to them, there was a new person helping out with the event who is not normally there, and he put the wrong time down, and told us the wrong time, and put the wrong time in the app. Apparently all of those things, and despite having 2 people near him when he did it, was not corrected on any of them. It was just one guy, this is the Twitter thing where there's like one intern, but don't worry, they've been fired. So I'm just sitting there going, oh, that's cool. Yeah, how did all of the other players know exactly when to start their event? Because we were told 6, and our phones say 6, but everybody apparently got there on time except us. That's cool. So then we were just like, you know what, it's fine. It's fine. Is there another last chance qualifier? You're running more of them. And they go, nope, cutoff was 5. We stopped signing people up at 5 o'clock. We cannot run any more of them. We are not allowed to run any more last chance qualifiers. And I just kind of looked, and then looked at Saki, and just went, well, that kind of blows, considering that we were here for exactly 2 reasons. We were here for this Pioneer tournament and networking, so that I can, you know, get some people to talk to about the podcast that I started recently, and start to get to know some of the Magic the Gathering content creators. I'm here for these 2 reasons. And, you know, turns out one of those reasons just got nixed by a scheduling fiasco, I assume. There's no actual reason. Just that happened. So, okay. let's go ahead and just accept that we're not on the tournament here. What do we get to do instead? We were both really, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Saki and I were pissed. We weren't going to take it out on the staff or anybody, but both of us were very, very irate, and it made enjoying any of our time at the tournament or at the event on day one basically impossible. I couldn't focus on doing anything because, well, we spent several days trying to actually fundraise for the event, and this was an event that costed us literally hundreds of dollars to get into in the first place, and to have the main event that we were here for be kind of ripped out from under us, yeah, it makes you feel a little sour. But they said, you know what, we can put you in another tournament, and we can do it for free because this was a mistake on our part. And we go, okay, that's fine. You know what? We'll make the best of it. What other tournaments do you have? And I said, there was a Pioneer 10K tournament, right? And then we're told, no, but there is a sealed 10K. We found out later that no, actually, there was a Pioneer 10K. It was just on Sunday, not on Friday or Saturday. I'm assuming that the staff at Melee.gg that were working the Dreamhack tournament were all very overwhelmed with the amount of people they were having to deal with all day. They were literally having to work with between 100 and 1,000 people every hour or two. I can't blame the organizers for not knowing every tournament that they possibly had available, and it is also on me for not looking at the schedule to see exactly when that 10K was supposed to be able to happen. But and so for those who don't know, a 10K is a Pioneer tournament for Magic the Gathering where the top prizes are $10,000, basically. There's $10,000 available that gets divvied up between, like, the top 4 spots. That's what a 10K is. There's literally $10,000 on the line. And we're like, okay, cool. So there's a 10K that's sealed. It's a Lost Caverns of Ixalan 10K. I would have rathered Wilds of Eldraine or a different set, but that's the most recent set. Sure, let's participate in the sealed event. I have never in my life, never once, participated in a competitive, quote, competitive sealed event for a card game. And the events of Saturday are going to lead me to believe that I will never participate in another sealed event. So this was the event, 10:30 a.m., Lost Caverns of Ixalan, sealed plus draft. And what this meant is, of the 100 or so people, or like it was like 230 people signed up for this event, after 7 rounds, it would cut to the top 16 players, and then 8 of the top 16 players would actually get an invite to it was a regional championship qualifier. So basically they'd get an invite to nationals the same way that you would get an invite via doing the Last Chance qualifiers. It's just you wouldn't be able to participate in the Dreamhack tournament. You would have to go to one that was in Chicago instead, but that's fine. I've traveled for tournaments before. It's not the end of the world. So okay, let's go ahead and do the Lost Caverns of Ixalan sealed event. If you've ever done a Magic the Gathering sealed event, here's how they normally go down. You get a box of 6 packs and then a single pack that has a special promo card in it. And the promo card is usable in the tournament, and it's usually just a stamped version with a date that is like any other card in the set. Some of them are worth $1, some of them are worth like 10 or 20. So this event, we just had the draft boosters themselves. No special promo thing, but that's fine. You only get those during pre-releases. Now, the way a sealed event works is you get 6 booster packs, and then you have to build a deck out of those booster packs. But there's a problem. This was a competitive sealed event, which means they needed to make double, triple, and quadruple sure that nobody was cheating. Because all you have to do to cheat one of these events is bring cards into the event that you did not get during from your sealed pack. Just think about it. If everybody else is dealing with the random chance of building a deck out of some booster packs, and then you just happen to bring a couple $50 cards from the set and just keep them up your sleeve like Bandit Keith, of course you're going to end up doing better in the tournament than everybody else. You're bringing extra shit. You're literally upping the power level of your deck way higher than what other people have access to. when it's supposed to be a more even playing field. That's the point of a sealed tournament. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let me explain to you how competitive sealed works. And I want you in chat, all of you, and anybody who happens to be on YouTube as well, I want y'all to tell me if this sounds enjoyable to you. Yes, we do get to keep all the cards, Fennec the Rabbit. We do get to keep all the cards. So, we're given 6 booster packs. But you have a table number you have to sit at. And your opponent is sitting at that table as well. Not your opponent, but a person meant to check everything you do is sitting at the table with you. And you are both given a sheet of paper. Now, what you're supposed to do is open every pack, show it to the other person at the table, verify that everything you have in your pack is a real Magic card, and there's been no weird discrepancies with your packs. And then, after you've verified all that, you must then mark down every single card that was pulled by the person across the table from you. You have to mark every single card they pulled in their 6 packs on a sheet of paper. And you have to do it under the gun of a timer. Now, this would be okay, kind of, sort of. I can kind of understand the reasoning behind it. Again, they need to make sure people don't cheat. But here's what we were told during the tournament. None of you are allowed to talk to each other. We were told in a tournament from a card game called Magic the Fucking Gathering that the gathering part of our time in the tournament needed to be completely silent. Now, I have a few friends who are judges, and I was told the reasoning for this is to make sure that nobody gives you any outside information. Let's say you have a few cards in your pack, and you're newer to the set, and your opponent, or the person across from you goes, "Oh my god, that's a good card." That's technically outside information, and technically it's cheating. Now, I feel like information like, "This Magic the Gathering card seems pretty good," is probably the weakest form of information anybody ever can have. Like, literally ever. So it feels like the flimsiest reason. The absolute flimsiest reason to have that. But at the very least, if you wanted to have that rule, then I would say the rule should be you aren't allowed to talk about your pulls. Don't talk about the cards in your packs. Me and the person in front of me, we tried talking about Pioneer. About how we felt about the format now that Geological Appraiser has been removed from it. How healthy we felt the format was. Because there's some problems with the format right now I'll get into in a second. But, no. What we actually were told, as we tried to talk for just a minute or two, the event organizers came up behind us. "Remember, no talking. If you are caught talking, you'll be disqualified." Boy howdy. I hate to tell you, I am a 31-year-old motherfucker, okay? I am not a child in elementary school with designated fucking talking time. Absolutely fucking not. Now, don't get me wrong, people were still talking, but it's the feeling of being talked down to so absolutely hard, of being treated like fucking children when everybody here is obviously an adult. My guys, if you want to have topics we can't talk about because it would technically be against the rules and would be in violation, that's understandable. What's not understandable is trying to pretend that everybody here is a fucking 5-year-old and needs to have designated talk time. This is ignoring the tedium of marking down every card on a sheet that our opponents have, which, for me, I have trouble scanning. I used to work retail, and I was never able to, in a quick manner, stock things on the shelves, because when I'm scanning a lot of information at once, it all turns to nothing. You guys on stream have watched me look at studies on stream, and you've probably noticed I have to do, like, Control F and shit when going through a study, because if I'm looking at just a sea of information, it turns into nothing. I get a headache trying to just look at it. I have to be able to compartmentalize information a lot. So the way that I have to be able to sort any of this is I have to take my person in front of me's cards, sort them all by color, and then sort them again alphabetically, and then I can mark them down on the sheet of paper, because otherwise it's a sea of information that I cannot have access to. And I only got to get everything down with like 2 or 3 minutes to spare on the timer, while the person in front of me managed to get everything on the sheet of paper with like 15-20 minutes to spare. Obviously, everybody else is much more skilled at this than I am. This is just not a thing I'm good at all. But the tedium of that, I'm not super upset about, because I understand why we have to do that. You have to make sure that nobody's cheating. The part that upsets me is that in day one, the big tournament that I wanted to do was not able to do. Saki and I were not allowed to participate in because of an error on the part of the staff. And then on day two, the tournament that we were given as our consolation prize, basically, was a complete unenjoyable mess during the for similar reasons. The staff being the way that they were. And again, these are people dealing with hundreds and, in many cases, thousands of people during the day. I can understand how a rule like, hey, nobody gets to talk, comes up. I can understand how that gets there. But it's not going to make me feel any differently about that fucking rule. Not even gonna lie. Not even gonna lie. Jassa says there's better ways. Having an organizer write down the cards so no cheating. That's impossible, Jassa. At this scale, there were 238 people playing in this sealed event. There were not 238 staff to divvy around to everybody. Sorry, 226. There were 226 people of a potential 1,500 people. There's not enough staff to have everybody individually do a deck check all at the same time. That's impossible. Saki did her first round, ended it in like 3 minutes, came over to me and said she's done, she's not going to continue. The event was not fun for the first 3 hours of getting all of our shit sorted for building decks, and it wasn't fun when the actual event started. And I decided to draft a meme deck, and that wasn't a smart thing to do either. I pulled Gishath, and I tried to build 3-color Gishath. That was not a smart idea. I probably should have built some... I had the stuff to build, like, an Orzhov Aristocraty deck, and I chose not to. That was on me. But... Asina says, one set, print out a card list. So we were given a card list to mark everything down. My issue is not with the card list. My issue is entirely with my inability to scan cards very well. So we have to mark down all of our stuff. We have to write down on the paper 1, 2, or 3, or 4 pulls of each individual card. And then if we had foil lands, we had to write down how many foil lands were found, because those lands apparently take up a special slot in the booster pack. Said, because some cards have been laid out and a digital photo have been taken. So we were recommended that we should all take a photo of our decks as we built them. That we had to do that. That was a thing that everybody was recommended to do, because that the rules of the tournament were you had to have the same game 1 deck every single round. Now, usually in a sealed event, you don't have to do that. Usually you can trade cards around between your pulls and the deck any amount of times you want. But because they have to do I guess they had to do the deck verification process, they made us keep the same deck we built under the gun of the original timer with no actual modifications. If you trade out any cards into your deck, they cannot be traded out in game 1. Which, not gonna lie, made it really, really unenjoyable, because I like being able to recognize a problem in a deck and then in the next game do better. I lost round 1, I would have liked the opportunity to change my deck going into round 2, which when I'm at sealed events, usually I get the opportunity to do, but not in this one. And again, different style of tournament. I wholly understand it having different rules. No problem with that. My problem, as I've stated before, was that we were all treated like fucking children, and I'm not happy about that, especially after the staff had already previously mucked up things on allowing us to get into a tournament. Now, as a result of this, Saki and I did not have a good time at all. Our first things we did on day 1 and day 2 were so unbelievably sour that it was hard to actually enjoy anything else at Dreamhack for any major amount of time. We did the Call of Duty laser tag thing for a little bit, and that was okay, except that the respawn machine stopped working halfway through, and apparently somebody decided to try to BXR Saki IRL, and yeah, she got a headache after that. Nobody actually tried meleeing her with a rifle. It was more that somebody swung one of the laser rifles around and it clocked her in the head. So, basically, Dreamhack was probably fun for other people. It was not really fun for us. The only content creator I really got to see there was one named Chloe, who also goes by Queer Phyrexia. She was doing a game with a few other people, and there was a person waiting for a game with her, and their game was taking a while, so that person came and did a game with me and Saki instead. That was fun. That was okay. But no, just I could not focus on doing anything there because 2 major competitive tournaments that we wanted to either participate in or enjoy. We got told we couldn't do one of those for one tournament, and we didn't get to do the other for the other one. Also, MinCon, thank you very much for the follow. So yeah, that was, sounds like you would have been better off staying home. Yeah. I can say that what we ended up doing, I spent a decent bit of the money that was left over on stuff for Saki while at the event. Her bridge deck was missing fetch lands and missing shock lands. We picked up I picked up the shock lands that were missing for it, and the fetch lands that were cheaper at the event we picked up. Turns out Misty Rainforest is down to $16. That's an insanely low price for what that card used to be. Scalding Tarn is down to 16 as well. I remember when that card was 80, which is just insane to me. We picked up all that at the event, so we were like, well, fuck it. We've got the funding to have fun at the event. Let's try to have the fun at the event, I guess. So, anyways, that was Dreamhack. I really wish it had been more enjoyable. I've never really been to a con that I was not able to enjoy, but I guess there's a first for everything. Sucks. It was Saki's second con ever, and I'm not super happy about that. I'm hoping that Too Many Games will be better. I know that it at least will be. I've never had a bad time at Too Many Games. And maybe if I can make it a MagFest, there's that too. But Fennec the Rabbit says, I repeat, sirs, why are so many things in your life cursed? Fuck if I know. Maybe there is a god, maybe they hate me. Well. But I will say, we are both in better spirits now. We're just dealing with about a con crud at the moment. So, at least we can say we did Dreamhack. We had a feeling while we were there. What the fuck? Pepper T21, why have you just gifted 50 community subs? That you didn't have to do that. What? Jesus Christ. Well, that's certainly one way to end that video. Insert end video tagline here. Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you. Sagittarius, I'm not saying that part. And Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.